Hey everybody, welcome once again to Keeping Up With My Shenanigans. This is episode number 2, and if you're watching, that means that episode number 1 wasn't too boring and that you are interested in a little bit more about my life and what's happening. Someone actually messaged me and they told me, hey, you should make an episode where you just talk about yourself and you talk about your life and your journey kind of up to this point. So that's what this episode is. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope that you continue watching our vlog here. My name is Cristian Francisco Sorto. Francisco because I was named after my father. Take great pride in that name. But I was born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts. We went to a small church in East Boston, which my grandpa and my father, they helped to kind of build it up along with many other people there. It was a small little group. It turned into a church, continues to be a church. Now it's the Church of Malden. But I grew up in that little small church where I was a participant in Sabbath school. I remember that my parents had to force me to learn my memory verses. I was always very active in church. I just like to be me. I've always been a very hyperactive kid. And I remember that my brother, for me, he was like my inspiration. My brother used to sing. He would sing in the groups in church. He would be singing at home. He would be practicing. He would prepare his to have special music. And for me, that was inspiring. I wanted to be like my big brother. And I remember the first time that I got to sing with him. And I was super nervous. I was super scared. But from there on, I kind of just, it began for me, the journey. I started singing and it kind of just took off. I remember that I was 5 when I started singing. It wasn't too big. So I was very nervous all the time. I didn't know what to do with my hands. I kept my hand in my pocket, and it was definitely an experience, but I'm thankful for it. And I remember that I started singing. We moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and they eventually invited me back to my own church, East Boston, where I grew up, to have a concert. And I remember that I was able to have a concert with a friend of mine. Her name is Melanie. And I can still remember seeing that poster with our faces on it. And for me, that was like, wow. I didn't feel like, wow, I made it, but it was wow. I mean, a few years ago, I was a little kid that had just started singing here, and now I'm back here giving a concert. And I remember the very first CD that I recorded. It was amazing for me. I remember that I just words couldn't describe it. But it didn't get easier from there. As I started getting older, I had a little high-pitched voice. I was a fat little kid with a high-pitched voice, and I wanted to be like these amazing worship leaders. I wanted to be like these amazing singers, but I never really thought I was good enough. I remember one time hearing someone tell me, man, you sing like a frog. You can't even sing. You stink. And that just broke my heart. I went through this phase where I just realized, and I kind of said to myself, do I really want to continue singing? But I remember having, parents that were just so supportive, and they continued to be supportive. I remember my dad would sit there hours with me writing. He still does. He would sit there hours when I was learning to play the guitar, just listening, just supporting me and saying, son, you can do it. My mom would deal with me at 5 a.m. playing the guitar, and now I look back and I have a little sister, a 9-year-old sister who, she's starting to sing. I push her. I encourage her because that's what my parents did for me. And I try to kind of, set the path for her to be able to choose one day to say, hey, I want to be like my older brother. I want to sing. I want to record albums. I want to do all of this, not just for my little sister, but for other kids. I want other kids to be able to see me and say, if that kid, that small town kid from East Boston, little fat chubby kid who some people thought he sang like a frog, if he can do it, then I can do it too. I want to be able to be that example for others. I want them to see me and say, I want to be able to record some videos. I want to travel. I want to spread the word of God. And all the time I get these videos on social media, on YouTube, I find these kids singing my songs, or the parents will send them to me, say, hey, look, my kid, he wants to be like you. I remember a few months ago running into a parent who actually named their kid Christian because of me, after me. They love my music, and their kids love my music. And when their little brother was about to be born, they said, we want to name him Christian too. Christian without the H. And as I look back, I look at the journey where I've gone through. I see where God has led me, and I realize that God always has a purpose. And every song, every lyric that I've written, every lyric that I've sang has weight for me. Maybe today you find yourself asking, how did I get here? God has a purpose for you. Maybe your story isn't exactly like mine, but maybe it's similar. Maybe you can relate. Maybe God is calling you to do something else. But the point of this is He wants to use you in whatever capacity, whatever talent He's given you. He wants to use you. And He wants you to make a difference in someone else's life. And maybe today you're questioning your calling. Maybe today you're questioning what you're supposed to do. But let me tell you that as you go through this journey with me, I pray that God may show you and God may inspire you to do more for Him, to work for Him. Thank you so much for watching. God bless.